Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to the Muskova Media Podcast. I want to, first of all, thank all the great listeners, show sharers, fellow podcasters, and just the great audience that's all over the world. Got a lot of great people in India sharing our show and helping us get more internationally. Also have people in the UK as well as Africa. So I want to thank all you great listeners as well as our listeners in the US of A and Canada and Mexico over here in North America. I want to thank you as well as we continue to reach people globally that are seeking inspirational podcasts, self-help tips, or just something to listen to while they drive or do their work. Definitely put us on while you are at your desk and, have us on in the background. Or if you're driving, just pop us on iTunes or Spotify or iHeartRadio. There's so many different places you could reach us, and we're definitely looking to expand to more. Yet, our goal today is to continue to provide high-quality podcast episodes that, basically you can listen to them, and by the end of the episode, you can have some direction or inspiration or just entertainment. But we really look to provide some help for people out here that are struggling during COVID. I want to thank Comcast for the support during COVID. They're supporting small businesses, and they supported mine by sending me a brand new Dell desktop. I think it's the 5500 series, as well as sending me, sending the company two laptops from Dell as well, and 3 8th generation iPads. Very thankful for all this stuff, and it's definitely going to help us to keep continuing to provide quality work, even better work, as I dive into voiceover for different businesses and different acting opportunities that come about. Yet the foundation that we have with Muskova Enterprises and a full-service digital marketing agency is definitely something that I am thankful for. With clients all over the world, all different types, I'm really thankful for that. Definitely go check out the website, MuskovaEnterprises.com. We just put on a couple case studies on there, and you can see about case studies for Google or Instagram or ads or whatnot, and we definitely have it popping. So I just want to thank Muskova Enterprises and all the mother-loving people that provide the support for there. And if you do need digital marketing, SEO, PPC, social media posting, or anything really, even doing PR and verification for IG and Twitter and Facebook. So if someone's looking for that and they haven't had any luck, I can help guide and direct people to getting that verification badge as well, because we know everything is about quality, but when people see numbers and they see that blue check mark, it automatically makes them trust an account or whatnot. So we are providing that service for the people. Yet, again, today, the show is about just some providing positivity and really using your mind to direct that. That's why we call it the present moment action hero mindset. Positive mind, positive outcome. Because when you are using your mind's power for yourself rather than let it sporadically be used, you can use your visionary attributes and power as a human on this planet to really recreate your life as you see it. And I've dived into this at Actors Theater Workshop with Thurman E. Scott, to What the Bleep Do We Know, to Eckhart Tolle, Power of Now. There's just so many types of mediums and people trying to help people understand this so we can start creating a better world, yet one day at a time and one person at a time. That's why we're just so lucky to have the great John Davis, who is an internationally known keynote speaker. He's also a comedian, a fight director, a stuntman, college professor, and artistic director, as well as an action hero. He has traveled extensively throughout the world, speaking to audiences of all ages and backgrounds in 28 countries and over 4,000 live performances. John inspires you to set and reach your maximum potential and awaken your inner action hero. After the tragic events of September 11, 2001, John dedicated a great amount of time bringing entertainment to the soldiers overseas. On 6 USO tours, John performed more than 100 shows and has taken his comedy to even the most remote bases in both Iraq and Afghanistan. So as these men and women protect us, our land over here, we have John going over there where they're at to help bring them some entertainment and positivity. And that's what we're doing on this podcast. So if you know anybody that needs that, this is definitely the time to be sharing with them about that. Yeah, today we have the great John Davis on the show. Are you there, John? Hello, John. All right, well, John's having a little bit of difficulty with his Skype, maybe. Maybe he want to call in to 914-205-5664 number. Yeah, John is not hearing him on the line, but that's okay. Things happen every day as we try to make things happen. Yet when John gets back, there he is on his cell phone, if I'm not mistaken. John, are you there?
I am. I don't know what was happening. I had you on my computer. I could hear you, but you couldn't hear me.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Skype does that sometimes, as well as Blog Talk Radio. Luckily, we have the backup of being able to call in. Yeah, it's a really great honor to have you on the show. You've done extensive amount of work in entertainment and through your comedy and different things that you do, and really going to places that not many of us can really get to. So I just want to thank you for all that great work that you put in thus far.
Oh, well, thank you. It's the least I could do for those soldiers in the field, especially because they volunteer their lives to go anywhere to defend us, and it's the least I could do to go out there and give them at least a smile for a day.
Yeah, definitely, and I'm sure it's very, very well appreciated. Yes, for the soldiers not over there and us battling every day over here in America. And who is John Davis, and what are you bringing to the table that people may not be realizing by just reading your bio?
Right. Well, when I was a young man, I wanted to be a stuntman and a fight director, and I started working my way to that direction. I started going for my black belt in martial arts, and I started really building my muscles up. And then one day, a buddy of mine called me up and said, "Hey, can you help me unload my van?" And I said, "Sure." And I went out there, and he had a box loads of clay. He was a professional potter, and I went out to his house, and I picked up that first box of clay up inside that van. And I turned to set it outside of the van, and my spine split in two, and I was paralyzed.
What? Wow.
Yeah, and the doctor told me that there's no way you're going to be a stuntman. There's no way you're going to be a fight director. You're done. And while I was lying in that hospital bed, somebody gave me a book called The Tao Jeet Kune Do by Bruce Lee, which could seem like a really kind of a cruel joke to play on a martial artist who was just told he'd never do it again. But it was one of the greatest things that ever happened to me, because that book told me about two things. One, mental flexibility, and two, leveraging your present moment. And so over the course of the next year and a half, I slowly started just flexing the muscles of my body. And at a year, I was back to being what I would consider normal, but not back to where I was. And then at a year and 6 months, I was standing on top of a 3-story tower, and I jumped off and landed in a fall pad. And then I went on to do over 4,000 live comedy sword fighting shows all over the world, as you said, including the front lines of Iraq and Afghanistan. And during that whole process, I put together this thing called the 5F protocols. And what they are is it's the process of hacking the fight or flight response and leveraging your present moments so that you can create amazing outcomes. And so now that's what I travel around teaching as a keynote speaker. I go into corporations and I get their team's interaction heroes ignited and moving towards positive outcomes.
Wow, that's awesome. And to make it out of that situation, from trying to help a friend and getting your spine split, that's definitely an amazing thing to make it through. Me, myself, I'm just recently suffering from a hernia operation in which I was helping different family members and friends with either moving or other things like that, and not really taking heed to my body. And I actually now feel way, way more lucky, because it could have been a lot worse. Yet knowing that you made it through that is definitely inspiring.
Well, they told me that day I had a condition known as spina bifida occulta, and when he said that, I said Gesundheit, because I had no idea what he meant. And and the interesting thing was that 3 of my vertebrae never formed properly at birth. So I had been doing all this stunt work and everything already with this condition. I had no idea, and that extra weight and the twisting that day is what separated my lower back. And the doctors wanted to fuse my back, and fusing my back would have meant they would have put a pin in it, which meant that part of my spine wouldn't have been flexible, and which means I could not do high falls or rolls if I even could get mobility again, because my legs didn't work for 30 days. And so, I literally didn't have mobility. They didn't know whether I was ever going to be able to walk again. And it literally was by dropping into your present moment. Now, something I heard you say in your opening, which I thought was very apropos, is the concept of my spiritual belief. Now, my background, my mom was a devout Catholic and had her master's degree in liturgy, but when I turned 18, she said, spirituality is a personal journey. You need to go out and discover what you believe instead of what I'm telling you to believe. So I started studying everything, and I found that the amazing works in all sorts of spiritual traditions. Like Buddha says, what you think you become, you create your world. Gandhi says you must be the change you want to see in the world. Krishna said you are the culmination of your thought. And Jesus said, whatever you ask in God's name is granted. But Moses said God's name was I am. And if I am is your present moment experience, and it's your present moment thought about your experience. So I had to leverage my present moment into a very positive direction. I could not take the belief that the doctors were trying to give me. I could not take the belief that my family was trying to give me. I had to take my own creative belief and leverage it to my present moment and say, no matter what you say, I'm going to be a stuntman. I'm going to be a fight director. I'm going to do the things that I have set my goals on. And anytime some obstacle came up, I just literally pushed it aside, because it was just something I needed to address to get to my goal, because I reached my goals.
Right, and that's very powerful and not always easy to do for people. How are you able to recognize that voice in your head as a positive force rather than something that was negative negative and trying to pull you down? Like, what was the difference between that voice and I guess like a hater type voice?
That is a fantastic question, and I've never had anybody ask that question before, and it's a very interesting thing because the voice in your head is your subconscious belief. It's your subconscious mind, and if you have a bunch of subconscious belief in there that is negative, you're literally living in a Groundhog Day scenario of living a negative experience over and over again because your subconscious mind is designed to show you what it believes. And the way you change your subconscious belief is literally to get truly in your present moment, because your subconscious belief is based upon present moment memories. So basically behind you is a series of present moment memories that build this subconscious belief. So in your past, you may have had a very hard father. I had a father who was an alcoholic abuser. And I had to set that down and create new present moment beliefs because he told me what a worthless guy I was. And so I had to literally train my subconscious mind to be different. Now, the way that works is you consciously only focus on doing successful moments because trust is developed by results over time. Same with your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind will only give you a positive, trusting response when you stack it full of positive examples of present moments. So I sat there and I just, every time anything came into my head, I didn't let anything negative be said to me, even in my own mind, even from my subconscious mind. I said, nope, I am doing this. And I went back to that present moment of I am going to be a stuntman. Today I'm going to flex the upper back muscles. Today I'm going to flex my mid-back muscles. Today I'm going to hit my lower back muscles. And then the day that I was able to flex my hips, the doctors were blown away. And
wow.
It literally was leveraging the present moment and not letting anything, even my own subconscious belief, get in my way.
Wow, that's so truly amazing, because so many people think that they're, working towards this type of goal, but they're not even really listening to the right part of their conscious or mind. Sometimes when that voice gets too extra loud, it might not be the right voice to listen to. That's why I like to kind of delve into that and try to understand that aspect of self more.
To add to that, if what you're hearing is negative, then it's definitely not the right voice. Because if you're creating a positive outcome, you're only focused on a positive thing. There's something else you just said just a second ago is, they're trying to get to these places. They're trying to get to these places. Well, when you break it down into psychology and look at the way the brain actually works, you only can think, do, and say something in the present moment. You can't do anything yesterday and you can't do anything tomorrow. You can only do it right now. And a lot of people sit in this moment, they look at that goal that they've set for themselves, that giant outcome that they want, and in their mind, they're thinking, I have to struggle to get to it. A lot of people believe that struggle equals growth. But the thing is, we don't have to get to that thing, because that thing, you're never going to get to the future. The future is coming to you depending on what you do in your present moment. So rather than thinking that thing's going to magically appear in your moment, think about, I can do the small things here that are in alignment with that goal, and that's what brings that goal to my present moment so that I can experience it. It's a very different way of thinking about goal setting, but you have to realize that it literally is the only way it works in your brain, because you have to do the things here that bring it to you, because the future is someplace that is never reached.
Right. Right. Basically doing the work. Because we literally are always in the present moment, whether we are thinking that way or not. We haven't gotten the ability to time travel in the future or the past. So it would reckon us, or it would be smart of us to really take heed of the moment that we do have control over. And then you said a very important thing of basically breaking down the goals into smaller tidbits, so they could be more achievable, and not only achievable, more believable as we break them down every day and take small steps, kind of like what you did which is super amazing, actually, and broke down the steps towards getting the movement in your body. You did it step by step. What are I was going to say, what are some good ways to set goals and break them down? Yet I feel like basically you just chose to kind of just turn them into smaller goals. Would that be what you do?
Absolutely. If you're setting a goal for yourself, and like I said, the future is just a place where you set goals for future present moments. So if you're setting a goal for that experience, then you have to sort of reverse engineer it and say, okay, I'm going to build this thing in my future. I've got to first start with the foundation. When Bruce Lee wrote that book that I told you about, he was in traction in the hospital, had just been told he'd never do martial arts again. And he said, okay, now I've got to work my way back from that situation. So what did he do? He wrote a book about his foundational principles of martial arts, right? His philosophies. So basically, when you're looking at your giant goal, just like building a house, you've got to break it down backwards. The house isn't built by starting at the roof. It started with the foundation. So you start putting things in place in the present moment that will hold up everything else that you want to do, that will give it the support that it needs. So break it down to the smallest moment. But here's one of the things I do want to mention. You said something about believability. And, I don't believe in affirmations. I believe in declarations. And the difference is this. There's a lot of people in the New Age world will tell you that affirmations. So if you're overweight and you want to be thin, that you're supposed to say, I am a thin person. I am a thin person. But if you can say that and still look down and not see your shoes, right? So it's hard to believe it. It's hard to believe that you're a thin person when you're not. And the reality of it is that you can sit in this present moment and you can believe, I am eating better. I am walking an extra quarter mile today. I am getting healthier every day. Those are things you can believe because they are choices that you're making about your present moment. But you can't look down and not see your shoes. It's obstructing your view is your stomach, right? So you've got to break it down to the smallest little foundational things and just declare. In Star Wars, Yoda says, do or do not, there is no try, right? You have to make sure that you're actively doing and not trying. Like words like wanting, needing, hoping, and trying are just saying that your present moment is inactive. And, you're going to create wanting, needing, hoping, and trying, and those things are terrible. You want to create positively with your words and with your present moment words, especially, and your present moment statements.
Definitely. And overall, it's a better way to feel. I'm not sure how people go about their days in total negativity and how they feel about it, but to me, it's not a good feeling, to make it simple. It can create disease or other things in the body, and why not take an advantage and use your mind as a tool in your own arsenal and belt and control it towards what you really actually desire, because it is hard to sometimes believe what we don't see. Yet sometimes the faith aspect is what actually brings it to fruition. In studying different religions and spiritual beliefs over time, like you, I've realized, they all come down to very, very similar stories, if not foundational rules. And they just happen to be in different areas of the world, helping different units of humans be better people on this planet. And you were able to do that kind of on your own. Would you say that you're like a spiritual person now, or you still Catholic, or?
Oh no, I don't follow any religion whatsoever. I use what I call simple spirituality, where I find universal truths in everything I read. I constantly read spiritual texts all the time. I've gone through the Quran many times, the Bible many times, the Bhagavad Gita many times, the Bhagavatamrita many times, and I just go through and I just study because I think that if you can find the correlations in all of it, I think the concept that one religion can encompass all of the truth is a fallacy, because I think it's too broad for any one religion to encompass it all. And so I think that you have to go and look at everybody's discoveries all over the world and say, what did they discover? Oh, look, they discovered this, and they discovered this, and they discovered this. That must have some validity. It's just like a scientific approach to spirituality. And when I look at, like I said, Buddha saying, what you think you become, and Jesus said, whatever you ask in God's name is granted, in God's name as I am. That's a thought. That's what are you? That's a beginning thought, and that thought is creative. But a lot of times we'll give ourselves a lot of self-talk that is not followed up with belief, and you've got to put the belief behind it to get it. Shakespeare in Hamlet, the King Claudius says, "Words without thoughts never to heaven go." And if you're not putting your belief behind your declarations and your actions, then you'll never create it into your experience. It'll never go to heaven and become the creation that you're trying to do. Now, you said something about negative people. Have you ever noticed that negative people always have something to be negative about?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's because of, check this out. So we talked about the subconscious mind a little bit, right? Here, the subconscious mind has two functions. One, to be the storehouse for subconscious belief, and two, to achieve what you focus on. And so if you know anybody who's ever bought a car, and they chose the kind of car that they liked, or they just liked a certain kind of car, those people start to see that kind of car everywhere. It just kind of starts popping up into their experience, right? And the reason that is because when you consciously choose, your subconscious mind shows it to you. Negative people see negative things because they are consciously choosing negativity. And you can consciously choose positivity. Positive people, when you talk to them, they always have something to be positive about for the same exact reason. I couldn't take what that doctor said about me never being a stuntman or a fight director as a belief, because it wasn't in alignment with what I was creating. And so by changing my creation, to take control of my creation, I've mentioned a couple of times now, Jesus said, whatever you ask in God's name is granted. It's a great quote, but the better quote is the next sentence. And most people don't realize this. The next sentence is, nothing will be impossible for you. Mm-hmm. And, wow. I'm living proof. I'm living proof of it. When I got out of that hospital bed, I went on to do all those shows. I'll tell you what else I did. I became a college professor. I became an artistic director. I climbed Mount Sinai. I climbed Machu Picchu. I went to the pyramids of Giza. I was inside the blue lagoons of Iceland. I have traveled to 30 countries around the world. I have worked with movie stars. I have been on fire. I've jumped off towers. Anything that I have wanted to do, I've created into my experience because of the fact that I knew I could, and that it was my mental process that took me to those places. And if you're willing to just break yourself down to this present moment, in the Bible it says, be born again. That means shutting off your subconscious belief. That's all that means. It means turn off that subconscious belief behind you and start new with a fresh slate, right? And start new. Mm-hmm. Just start today. What happens is, the more you stack positive moments into your subconscious mind becomes positive and successful.
Right, because that's all it sees and starts to know or whatnot.
Right.
One way that I've started to practice this and kind of exercise my mind and power is for some, you mentioned when you get a car or something, you start noticing it more. But sometimes people may not be able to get a new car, but colors are often associated with certain things. Like red is associated with like love many times, and green is associated with like money. White is usually associated with pureness, and black is usually associated with like negativity. Yet I realized one day as I was driving, I was noticing certain car colors more than others, usually like red or so. And I was questioning what was I thinking or doing that was making me see more of these colors that was associated with different feelings and emotions or whatnot. And I started to pick up on myself being able to kind of see what I wanted to see because I was kind of controlling my mind to be more positive. So I was seeing, as I was driving, I was noticing more red cars or white cars than other colors. And it may sound a little bit out there, but it's a good way to start practicing and exercising your mind to see positivity and what you want to see and greatness. Even though any color could be anything and associated with anything, it's kind of like what society knows as a norm. But there's definitely, having a positive mindset is not always that easy, especially when a person has been through a lot of traumatic events. That's why I always suggest getting help from professional doctors and listening to people like John while you drive or work and stuff like that, and just stay positive. It seems like you had an advantage of not believing in negativity in your mind, but what are some ways that you were able to kind of like force your mind to think positive? I know you read that book and that helped. Was it just kind of like a cold turkey, like a push, because you wanted it so bad, or? Mm-hmm.
Well, of course you have your inner fire, the thing that sparks your purpose, the things you want to do. But I had to do a real deep dive and study into how my brain works to get myself to a place of being able to really truly understand it. And what I did start doing was I started creating the 5 Fs, which is how to hack that fight or flight response. And what's really interesting is the first of the 5 Fs is fearlessness. And people don't realize that when you're in a negative state, it's because you're afraid of something. There's a fear there. You're afraid that it's going to be bad, or you decided that the world is terrible, so it's kind of, it's a fear. And the interesting thing is when people get into a negative state, they don't feel like they can breathe. And they don't understand that lack of being able to take a deep breath is not because of the fact that they don't have enough air. It's because their body is in the primal reaction known as the fight or flight response, and their body is holding air in, not keeping it out. Because when you get into a primal fight or flight response, the first thing that happens is your body gasps for air. It goes, gasps for air. And when it gasps for air, it fills your lungs up so that you can run further and faster. Actors in Hollywood are trained that when they forget all their lines on stage, they're supposed to exhale and relax all their muscles. And what happens is it shuts off that primal response, and all their lines rush right back into their head. And so I had to, when somebody would throw negativity at me, I had to exhale and get to that space of going, okay, no. And then I had to do the realization of what is fear. Now, when I ask people, audiences all over the world, what is fear, the audiences go quiet. And then somebody will usually say, false evidence appearing real. And the reality of it is that that's not a true definition of fear, because fear is an emotional reaction to some future event that may or may not happen with you focused on a negative outcome. And so it's you just focusing negatively. And if you focus negatively, you're going to be creating more negative. So I had to get to the space, for me, where I had to take control of my fear. Now, when you realize you're in a fear, you realize, first of all, that you are in a fear. And when you're inside of something, you really can't control its direction. So the first thing you really have to do is label it as fear. It is fear. What am I afraid of? Once you label it, you're no longer inside of it. It's now an external. And now you have an external. So now you can go, okay, it doesn't really exist in my present moment because I'm focused on a future event negatively. So if it doesn't really exist in your present moment, it's just an emotional reaction to something that might happen, then really there's no sense in actually wasting any more time on it. And then the second of my 5 Fs is focus. So if you get to the point where you can go exhale and get to that space, then just get focused on the goal and cast that fear aside. You get focused on what you're doing. You get fearlessly focused, right? The middle 5 of the 5 Fs is faith, belief, confidence. I don't mean spiritual faith, but some people get their confidence from their spiritual faith, and that's fine because everybody's spiritual experience is a personal journey. And so however they want to get through that. But the key is that you have to believe what you're saying. When Jesus would work with the lepers, they would say, you healed me. He says it was your faith that healed you. It was your confidence, your belief in the healing that healed you. And so, to me, that was one of the most powerful statements he ever said. He also said, greater works than I have done you will do, which I think is really interesting. But then so you get fearlessly focused with faith, and then we get to the hard one, the toughest one of them all, and that is follow through. You actually have to do it. You have to get off the couch and do something. And the reality of it is that you don't have to do the big thing. You only have to do the small things and let them stack up. And when one of those moments doesn't go the way you plan, you don't beat yourself up. I'm so dumb, and you smack yourself on top of the head. Technically, that's why I went bald. But the reality of it is that it's not that you're wasting a moment. You're wasting a moment when you start beating yourself up. Just think it's silly and get back on track and start stacking more present moments, right? And then the last of the 5 F's is flexibility, and it's the one we kind of started on when I talked about mental flexibility. Whenever you're going for goals, something is always going to come up that seems contrary to what you're trying to do. And in those moments, you can be like Bruce Lee and be like water. You can be flexible. You can move around that rock. You can move through that rock. But the key is flexibility. We've already talked about the idea that your subconscious mind is showing you what you're focusing on. So if you're focused on a giant goal and something popped up in front of you, that's because your subconscious mind is saying this is something that needs to be addressed for you to reach your goal. It's not that it's not saying your goal is done. It's not saying your goal is stopped. It's saying this is something that needs to be addressed. And so if you can stay flexible in that mindset, keeping your eye on your goal, and realize this is something that needs to just be dealt with, then what happens is those things don't seem as daunting or as frustrating when they happen, because you just know it's part of the process, and you keep moving. And then the next thing you know, you're experiencing the present moment. When I stood on that tower after a year and a half, and I looked down at that tower, it wasn't a scary moment at all. It was a celebration of what I had just done over the past year and a half. Because I was literally getting ready to jump off into a fall pad 3 stories down. And, when you're on top of that tower, you're not focused on the tower. You're focused on where you're going to land. You're focused on the positive outcome. And so if you can stay focused on the positive outcome, no matter what comes your way, then you can achieve anything in your life. Nothing will be impossible for you.
Wow, that's amazing words and put so precisely and simply for anybody to really start to get a hand on. I wish we could have you here all day dropping gems, yet I know you got to go conquer some more corporate of that corporate world and different things. For the people that listening, what are some things tips or ideas you can leave them with, and also how can people reach you?
Okay. Well, the one thing I'd like to definitely say is thank you for having me, and thank you for having a show like this where you are actually making change in the world, making your part of the world better, because each one of us making our part of the world better is what's going to make the world better in general. For the audience, I'd like to say a couple things. I'd like to say, remember that today's choices are tomorrow's outcomes. So you've got to make today the best it can possibly be. And to that end, I'd like to offer your audience a free gift of my 5F workbook, and they'll get it in the show notes of your show here. But it's a free gift, and when I say free, I mean you don't even have to give me an email address. It's literally go there and download it. And my job today was to bring value, not to take something from you. So I'm not asking for anything. All I'm asking you is make your life and your part of the world better. The way you get a hold of me and the way you find me is corporateactionhero.com. You can find all my LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter there as well. While you're there, check out the fact that I do a daily motivational vlog, a video every day, just some little tidbit. I usually take a quote that I find inspiring, and I expand upon it. And also, you can also see my podcast, the Interaction Hero Podcast, which I just started. I'm only 10 episodes in right now. Other than that, thanks for having me. It's been great.
Oh, anytime, John. It's been an honor and a blessing to have you on the line. And thanks again for making it through your ordeals and showing us that we too can lead a more positive life, and we can conquer anything, set before us with smart, actionable steps. So, again, thanks again for coming through, and please continue the great, amazing work that you already been doing. Thanks again.
Thank you.
And there you have it, my fellow listeners, the amazing John Davis dropping by and sharing some amazing ideas and tips and just inspiration, because it's a really to make it through that ordeal it can't be easy. And part of my show is to help inspire you guys and help you realize that you can do anything you set your mind on. So that's why just listen to the episodes. Go get the free 5F workbook that John has mentioned. Go to his website and check him out as well. And I just want to thank everybody for listening and sharing the show, from people in India to Africa, USA, of course. Thank you all for just being a part of this wonderful journey that I have, and just providing content and material for people. And again, want to shout out our sponsor, Moscova Enterprises, full-service digital marketing agency out here in the United States of America. Yet we do work with people all over. And thanks again to Comcast for sending us the Dell desktop, the Dell laptops, and the iPads. I just for iPhone Pro Max, so it's pretty much like a mini iPad, but it's great. I love it. So thank you, universe, for everything that you provide, and I'm looking to do my best to be a positive aspect of that creation. So I just want to thank God, I guess. So peace out, everybody. Be sure to keep listening, sharing the episodes, and try to stay positive. This episode basically gave you the blueprint on how to actually do that. Now it's really about you making it happen and doing the right stuff and doing the right thing. All righty, everyone. It's your man, Vikens Moskova, here again on the Moskova Media Podcast, shouting out everybody around the world. And you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. Just, Google Vikens Moskova, and I will start to pop up. Or just go to my Instagram /VMOSCOVA. And also want to thank, actually I have to mention this, one more, for sending the Comfo Buds Pro, the true wireless in-ear headphones. If you guys are looking for some really good headphones that are comparable to, or Apple Beats or anything like that, then definitely go to One More's website and check them out. They have this new headphones that they put out, the One More Comfo Buds Pro, which is comparable to iPhone, whatever the iPhone or the Apple headphones are. These are pretty much as good as that. They come with 6 microphones all together in the headphones, which is kind of interesting because it has one microphone that is listening to outside noise, so that there's a mode where you can actually put it on and have that outside noise as well as the music or whatever you're listening to come in through the headphones into your ear, which is kind of different. And then, of course, the mic for speaking, and then a mic to drown out the environment, apparently. This thing can charge in 15 minutes for a fast charge, which enables 2 hours of playtime. It has a 13.4 millimeter ultra linear driver with extended bass. So first time I put these things in my ears, I was like a little bit mad at my Beats by Dre, because these joints were way more louder and I could feel the bass in my ear, which may not be a good thing if you want to keep your eardrums, but I mean, for headphones that retail for around $100, these really can't be beat. Like, your music should sound great in any environment all the time. And the Comfort Buds Pro sound signature is shaped around the unique needs of human ear, regardless of ANC is on or off. It's dedicated to music lovers on the go. I mean, the music, the multiple noise cancellation modes are kind of like very, very interesting to me. I thought, my Beats definitely don't have that. You literally, for my Beats, I mean, I'm not busting my Beats. The sound quality on them is still studio top quality, and I'm using them right now, matter of fact, to do this podcast, because the mic is good on it as well. But many people complain about the Beats. They don't seem that loud. But when you want to talk about long-term ear health, you don't really want to be busting your eardrums like that anyway. People like me that do love loud sounds and that beat and that bass pumping, especially when we listen to hip-hop or something like that, these One More headphones definitely do the darn thing, and they're really good. So if you want to check them out, you can either hit me up or just go to their website and get them. But they're pretty amazing. Like I was saying, the pass-through mode for ambient sounds is something that's kind of revolutionary. I'm like, why do I need 3 mics in my earbuds? And they showed me why. And they didn't up the cost just to include the extra technology. It literally has the same technology in the Beats and the Apple Pro headphones for dang near half the cost. So I have to shout them out real quick for sending me that. Also want to shout out IK Multimedia for sending the mobile microphone interface. You can check out IK Media, which is a musician's first type company, and check out the iRig Pre 2, which is a mobile microphone interface. IK Multimedia makes the iRig Pre 2 so that you can basically record mobile audio around anywhere. You can. This thing works with iPhone, iPad, and Android devices. It's compatible with XLR microphones. The microphone set up with the plug that has the 3 little holes that you plug in. Like, it's one little plug, but then it has the 3 holes in it. So it's not like a microphone that you would put into a 3.5 millimeter jack. This iRig Pre also has headphone output, direct monitoring, and volume control. And it has precision gain control, and it works with DSLR cameras. So you can plug it right into your little Canon camera, and then plug a mic into that, and then be able to test and listen to the sound on the go in real time and to adjust it. So this little thing, this little piece of technology here I'm looking at right now, I'm going to post on it on my Instagram, but this little piece of technology here is definitely pretty cool. Unfortunately, I don't have a mic like that. All my mics are either Bluetooth, USB, or what's it called, that 3.5 millimeter joint, the standard headphone jack that we have all known, but are now seeing disappear thanks to USB-C. So you got to make sure that you have the right mic. IK Multimedia didn't send me a mic for it, so I wasn't able to test it out, but it looks like it works well. I might go to Best Buy or Walmart later and just buy like my 5th mic. I mean, damn, son. Actually, I have to start getting really better mics, so I'm gonna hold off on that. But definitely check that out, the iRig Pre 2. This is our gift guide that we're talking about right now. If you go #Vic's gift guide, you'll see it. And also check out the One More headphones. For that, And then thanks again to Sabina Tech for sending their audio console, which I'm not really able to use for Block Talk and stuff like that. And then also they sent a really cool wired microphone that has a 3.5 millimeter plug, so I can't really use that for certain stuff. But anyway, wanted to shout out those companies. Go check out their websites, everyone, please. IK Multimedia, they have so many different things for artists and musicians to really create art and music and things for podcasts as well. And then one more with the really competitive headphones for comparable to iPhone, Apple, and Beats by Dre. And they're really loud, guys. I'm not fronting, just saying that because they sent it to me. They actually are really loud. So check them out. I'm using my Beats right now. Next show, I'll use the one more to see how that goes. But I was on a call with them, and the ladies, I was doing a podcast interview, and the ladies actually said that the sound quality for a call wasn't as good. So I'm just keeping it 100, keeping it real, and I'm glad I got to put in this little gift guide before the show ended. So thank you, wonderful, loyal listeners. Not only do you got some new gear you can go cop, but you also got some tips from John, so to really get your mind in order and using it to your advantage. So peace out, everybody. Oh, and also shout out to Amazon and the show, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I was on that. Got to do some background work and really get back into the game and of acting and seeing some greatness around me. And it's just been wonderful. So I want to shout them out and thank them as well. And let's end the show on a high note. Peace out, everybody. Thank you again for listening, and we'll do it again soon. Peace.